All right, let's try this again. Hola, thank you so much for having me. My name is Claire Drumond, and I am here from San Francisco. I work for Atlassian, and I'm not sure, can I see how many of you either use or have heard of Atlassian's tools? Woo! Awesome. That makes my job really fun. However, I'm not accepting feature requests. So I have a really unique position at Atlassian. I head up content strategy, which sits between marketing and product. And that's why today I'm going to actually kind of talk a little bit more low tech. Not sure if you were here for the talk before mine about Internet of Things and connecting a light bulb to how somebody feels, which is pretty amazing. I actually want to talk to you about the stuff behind all that, which is teamwork, and how you can actually connect your teams together so that you can create really great user experiences for your customers. So Atlassian, as you all have just showed me, as you know, are the makers of these tools. These are collaboration tools that enable software development teams and teams of all kinds to work together and to collaborate. And I specifically work on JIRA and Bitbucket. I've been there for about 2.5 years, and it's really fun. So I want to kind of take you through a brief history of JIRA. JIRA was our flagship product, our first product, which was developed in 2002. And about 2014, we have a hackathon called Ship It. And during that hackathon, we developed something called JIRA Service Desk. And then in 2015, we rebranded JIRA to JIRA Software, another offering called JIRA Core, and a third offering called JIRA Service Desk. And then about 2 years later, today, nobody really cared. So this was a product thing. The product team said, look, we can make these offerings really unique for different use cases. And so they developed these 3 really cool products that were really specific to what people wanted in the market. And that's great. But at the end of the day, people were still just calling it JIRA. They didn't care that we were calling it JIRA Software. And this was a problem. What you're looking at right here is a search engine results page. It's called a SERP. Obviously, have you heard of Google? So this is actually your homepage. This is the first thing that anybody who searches on the internet, this is the first interaction that they have with your products. And when we rebranded, we took care of this page for JIRA Software, JIRA Service Desk, and JIRA Core. And we neglected JIRA. And what happened was something like this showed up. So if you think about it, everybody who is searching for JIRA, which is the whole world, is seeing this, but the JIRA software page looks awesome. 93%, in fact, of people, all online experiences start with search. 93%. So to give you a little context, 670,000 people are searching for JIRA. Do you know how many are searching for JIRA software? Like 10,000 a month. So it's really, really important that the product team talks to the marketing team, because the marketing team is the team that knows that information. We know those numbers. We know what people are searching for because we have access to that data. We do search engine optimization. We look at this kind of stuff all the time. And my job in particular as a content strategist is to really understand what people are reading online so that I can connect that experience with the product experience. But my product team thinks that the product experience starts with the sign-up form and beyond. But the reality is that that's not true. It starts all the way back at the search engine results page. So as I mentioned, the role of marketing has become incredibly data-driven. It's all about customer experience. It's about the touch points. It's about me being here right now talking to you. There's so many little things that we do outside of the product that really affect how people experience our products. And to neglect that as part of the journey is really missing a really big piece of part of the story. So this is something that we identified as an issue, but this is an issue with communication. This is a collaboration problem. You can't solve everything through tooling, even though I'm here representing a tooling company. It's really about teamwork and collaboration. So how do you connect marketing and your product? So Agile, this beautiful website here was developed in 2001, but I wanted to show it because I think it's really important that we remember where Agile came from. Originally, Agile was meant to be a set of principles to allow people to communicate and collaborate better with each other. And so if you read them, individuals and interactions over processes and tools, working software over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, responding to change over following a plan. That is Agile. But what happened is that we're all process people, we're engineers. We want things to be pretty in a framework, in a box. So we developed all these frameworks, and then we went to our teams and we said, you have to do this. You have to be Scrum. You have to use Kanban. And there's no exception. But we're people. And people don't really work like that. Like I said, it's organic. People search for JIRA when you want them to search for JIRA software. And the evolution of Agile made us forget something that's really, really important. And that's that business people and developers must work together on a daily basis. And the reason for that is because business people are the ones that have the information about what your customers need and what they want. And if you are sitting in your comfort zone in your engineering team, and you're not inviting that voice of the customer into the conversation, then really who are you building for? Are you building for yourself and where it's safe? Or are you really building to delight your customers? So my team realized that we were really putting a lot of emphasis on the product manager to be the voice of the customer. So what I'm showing you here is a list of skills that Hired.com pulled together from, I think it was like 300,000 different applicants, or job applicants, to figure out what skills were needed to do product management. And you can see development languages are on here, Agile methodologies are on here, data management, but you don't see marketing, and you don't see search engine optimization. Okay, so how are they really getting the full story? And is it really fair for us to have the product manager, or I think most of you call them product owners here? Is it really fair for us to put all the emphasis on the product manager to know everything about everything? But we were doing that on our team. In fact, we have been using something like this, which we call the Triad. And I see a lot of you taking photos of this, which is great, but I'm about to tell you that this didn't work for us. So the product manager here is the one that is supposed to sit in the middle. Here we go. Is the one that's supposed to sit in the middle of marketing and support ops. They're really the central focal point for the business. But as I just talked about, our product managers were really just engineers that graduated into product management. And so they were going out to lunch and hanging out with the dev manager and the design manager. And actually, because we're located in Sydney, the JIRA team is mostly located in Sydney, all three of these people in the Triad were located in Sydney, and marketing was all the way out in San Francisco. And they had a great culture, and they were really successful in their circle, but what we found out was that they were kind of excluding the marketing knowledge and data in developing their product strategies. And we realized that when things happened, like what I just told you about the JIRAs, the 3 JIRAs, and they didn't really include us in these conversations. And so there's only so much you can do from San Francisco. Say, hey, don't talk about that at lunch. Wait until I get on the video call. But again, we're all people. It's not comfortable to wait. If you have a good idea, you're going to run over to your buddy and you're going to talk to him about it. And you might even make a decision. And you might not tell anybody about that decision. And then you might start developing. And then nobody will know out in San Francisco. So we have to figure out, what do we do? So if you guys are around tonight, I encourage you to come to Dom Price's talk. It's the last keynote. And he's going to talk about the Atlassian Team Playbook, which is a website that has a bunch of founding guidelines for us as a team to figure out how we can better work together and how we can break down these silos and how we can make sure that we're connecting and collaborating. And really, the key for us was to build empathy. So empathy is kind of a hot buzzword right now, but it's really deeply meaningful because it means that you're listening and communicating. You're not just talking and presenting at people. And in order to build empathy, you really have to sit down with somebody who doesn't necessarily speak your language and listen to what they do. And then you want them to listen to you also. So my team, a team of product managers and product marketing managers, aren't they pretty? This is us. Aw. So my team decided that we were going to work on this because we knew it was a problem. So we actually went to an offsite that was away from everybody's homes, and we spent a week together, and we hung out, and it was great. And we talked about, family, and we talked about our goals, and we talked about all sorts of different things, and we really became good friends. And then at the end of the week-long strategy sessions and workshops, we ran a play from the playbook. And the play is a roles and responsibilities play. And so really the idea was for a product manager, who is the central linchpin here, and then the marketing person, they teamed up and they wrote down what they thought the other person did. What were their blockers? Who did they work with? What were the things that they were trying to achieve with their jobs? And then they swapped papers and then stood up in front of the whole team and read what they had written. And they were completely wrong. And it was funny, but it was also kind of terrifying because we were supposed to be counterparts. And we thought, oh my gosh, you don't even know what I do. You don't know what I'm thinking about, and this is not your fault. This is my fault. And we thought, well, what are we going to do about this? So this roles and responsibilities play, which all of you can go and download, it's at Atlassian.com/team playbook, is something that anybody can run, and it's free. And this is really important for us because it's starting the conversation and it gives you the guidelines to start that conversation. And so what we did, so the goal was to figure out what happened outside of the triad. And so we took all of that and we threw it on a floor like this with a bunch of Post-it notes. And you can see, maybe you can, I'm not sure, but you can see right here, kill the triad. Everybody had come to the same conclusion based off of that roles and responsibilities play. That triad was not going to work for us. And so we say things like, long live the squad, squad goals. We might have called it squad, but it's really just about the team. Now, the triad exists because it's meant to keep the decision makers small, a small group, 3, so that it's uneven, so that you can break a tie. But what we decided was that we wanted to keep that general idea, but with empathy, we needed to make sure that we brought the right people in at the right time. So there was not one single product owner making all of the decisions. Sometimes it changed based off of what we were trying to develop. So it ended up looking more like this. More about the goals of what we were trying to do. So who is the right person to bring in to make sure that the desirability of the feature is met? What about feasibility? What about viability? Sometimes this would be dev, but maybe it's a marketing person saying, you know what, the market doesn't want this. They want this instead. So this is what our Triad looks like now. And it's a little fluffy, and it's a little scary because it's not a framework, and it's not a bunch of boxes that you can check. And it relies on communication and collaboration. So how do you make something like this work? Number one, transparency. Transparency is really, really hard, especially in big companies where the culture is not transparent, where people want to keep the knowledge within themselves because that gives them power. So we use our own tools to help break down this part of the, to help make us more transparent. And one of those tools that we use is Confluence. We have an internal rule that you cannot keep a Confluence page private. So even a work in progress, something that makes people really freaked out when they join Atlassian, has to be public because it's really taboo if you are keeping something private. It means you're hiding something. So we try not to do that. Collaboration is really important. And so what we try to do is use our tools like Stride and HipChat, Confluence and JIRA to collaborate with each other. But we also want to make sure that we have that face-to-face time because that's really how you build empathy. That's really how you communicate with each other. And so obviously I just talked about tools, but tools are really important too because it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have all the same tools, but you have to have a shared understanding for what's appropriate and how you're going to use those tools. So how do you connect product and marketing? One of the things that you can do is to make sure that you start early. Make sure that you're remembering that the customer's journey doesn't start at the sign-up form. The customer's journey starts way before that. It starts with the Google search engine results page. It starts with social media. It starts with all the interactions that I might have with you today. Make sure that you're connecting your business people with your engineers. And don't dress a business person up or an engineer up as a business person and say, okay, we've checked that box. You really want to make sure that the voice of the customer is heard as you're developing your customer journey. And then last, build empathy. Remember that you want to bring your team in early for a collaboration rather than a presentation. And remember that at the end of the day, all of us here that are building software are building it for humans. So, like I said, you can access the Atlassian team playbook. It's free. You can take it back to your team and look like a rock star, or maybe you'll be hated. I don't know. You have to let us know. And then I've written a blog about this on Medium. If you want to check it out or follow me on Twitter. Gracias. Thank you so much.
Bueno. Muchas gracias a Claire, gracias por todo. Vamos a comenzar la ronda de preguntas. So, we're going to start question right now. Okay. ¿Quién tiene la primera pregunta para Claire? Ahí.
¿Se escucha? Hello, Claire. This is Victor. The first question is, well, it's only one, anyway. What kind of tools do you use? How do you interact with the end customers? Because I understand that you receive information from the customer directly. Do you use any business intelligence tool? And which one? Thank you.
Yeah, so we have a lot of tools, some that we've built ourselves and some that we hire. Excuse me. So it kind of depends on what you're kind of looking for. So we use NPS to hear direct feedback from the customers, and that can be in the product, and it's just a quick pop-up message. Or for data, like around search engine optimization, I use Moz. and Google Search Console and that kind of thing. Gosh, we do so much. We do a lot of surveys. We send a lot of surveys out. We actually have a really awesome support team that provides most data for us to understand how people are interacting with our customers. So they'll aggregate all of that data and then share it with us on a regular basis. They're called the voice of the customer team. Trying to think what else you might want to know about. I mean, we're big now, so we have a lot of tools. Yeah.
Aquí tenemos otra pregunta.
Acá. Hi, Claire. Thanks for your talk.
Sure.
It's a quick question about when you talked about connecting business, product and marketing. You had a person that stated how to connect. Connect the business people to the former Triad or squad as early as possible. However, how do you solve if the business counterpart is not as keen as you may expect for getting information on the product? Because usually, in my own experience, business people are just, I'm selling out, but I really don't care about the product unless it has downtime, for example.
Yeah, no, that's a really great question because you're right, it's a two-way street. So the way that this might be an organizational thing or something specific to Atlassian, but the way that we solve that is that our product marketing people are like myself. I am talking to customers all the time. So if there's no way that I could not care what happens in the product because I'm using the product every single day. And I know that that's very different for other companies where a lot of times business people aren't using the product. I live and breathe in JIRA and Confluence and Bitbucket and HipChat. So I think maybe that's why I have so much empathy for what happens on the product side. So I think dog fooding your products is a really, really good way for business people to kind of understand what you're dealing with on the engineering side. And then also, a lot of times product owners are in charge of talking to customers, and marketing is not. But we do both. So a lot of times I'll go to customer meetings with my product manager, and we make sure that we're both hearing the same thing. We're both looking at the same data. Yeah. Sure.
¿Más preguntas?
Hola, Claire.
Hola.
En español voy a preguntar.
Ok.
No problem.
Me toca trabajar justamente con la gente marketing. Yo estoy más en el área TI y me toca muchas veces cómo convencer al equipo de TI.
Use the guys from IT to build certain characteristics and features that have to do with colors, positioning stuff, and not very strong functionalities like the ones proposed by the development.
Con la traducción.
¿Qué le pasa a un receptor en la grabadora para poder entregarle la traducción? Obviamente.
Bueno, vamos a repetir la pregunta. Me di cuenta que estaba así.
Sorry, they just realized you didn't have an earpiece. Parece que entendió la pregunta igual. Vamos. Would you please repeat the question? Por favor, ¿puede repetir su pregunta? Okay, should I go again? The question is that, well, actually, I work with people from marketing all the time. I work in IT, right? But how do you get to convince the people in IT to implement certain characteristics that are proposed by the guys from marketing, like colors, positions of things, fonts, regarding some or compared to other functionalities that people from development would like to implement? What goes first? Is it marketing requests or the development guys' requests? What comes first?
Okay. So, neither. I think what you're referring to is that there's a bit of a power struggle. Who gets more resources? Who gets more attention? Who kind of wins, right? So because we actually use some form of this triad where design and development and product owner and product marketing all actually work together as a cross-functional team, everything is together. So the prioritization and the backlog is one. There is not a marketing backlog and a development backlog. So actually we just rolled out a whole new design look and feel for our products that we call ADG3, Atlassian Design Guidelines, and it's the 3rd version. And you can see that this is about colors and fonts and user experience. It's not about new features. And you might think, well, why? Because we're all hearing the same thing from customers, because we are all part of the same customer, the same data, right? And the same customer calls and meetings and everything. So the prioritization is it's not a power battle. It's about what does the customer need and the customer want, and what is going to make our customer successful. It's not about us. Does that make sense?
¿Más preguntas? ¿Quién tiene más preguntas para Claire? ¿En español o en inglés? ¿Español o inglés? Inglés, okay.
Hello, thank you for your presentation.
Yes.
The question I have is, so you told us the story about how there was like a triad on which was the center of the vision for the product.
Yep.
And the marketing was sort of left outside. And then you had this reunion, but the question is, now that you did that exercise and draw your conclusions, how are you bridging that gap in the team? Like, is there really, how did you integrate this team, which is in San Francisco, so far from Sydney, with the other team, and is this new dynamic working? How did you achieve it?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So what we came out from that offsite with was a set of new, like a manifesto for our team. So for example, the triad, the original triad, can no longer go to lunch and talk shop and make decisions without marketing, who's in San Francisco. We've decided that we're going to do more reunions like that, more offsites quarterly versus every year, so that we can continue to have the strategy developing as we go. Something else that we decided was that, so Sydney time and San Francisco time, it's hard to get on each other's calendar because it's really late in San Francisco and it's really early in Sydney. And so we've blocked 3 hours a day so that we can talk to each other and be devoted to the different time zones. We have like an overlap. So really what happened was we changed the way that we worked. And we had a retrospective at the end of that meeting, and we said, look, start, stop, continue. And all the things that we said we were going to stop, we stopped. And all the things that we said we were going to start, we started. And then in 3 months from then, we went and we said, how did we do? How are people feeling? And so it can never be just like one big change. It has to evolve. And sometimes it doesn't work, and sometimes it does. And so to us, it's an open dialogue. And I think that's really the biggest point, is that it's agile. It's iterative. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Tenemos una última pregunta para Claire. ¿Alguien quiere realizar la última pregunta? Allá tenemos una.
Hi, Claire. Hi.
Hi.
Thank you for your presentation. And in my place of work, one of the things that made me kind of uncomfortable with the marketing team is that sometimes I feel like they have a rhythm of work that is way different from the team of developers, because we work with sprints or tasks are like kind of unpredictable compared with the marketing team, and sometimes I feel like they don't understand, and because of that, they try to impose things for us to do, like they want things really fast when actually, when we as a team, it's kind of hard to do.
Yeah.
And our boss has tried to show them how we work, but sometimes I feel they don't see like the importance of understand how the developer teams work. And because sometimes, I don't know, in the review presentations, sometimes they don't attend to them because they are out working with clients. So I feel like they don't see as a priority those things. How can this is something I think about. How can I give is there something we can do as the developer team along with my boss and my other teammates to make them try to change their priorities? And because I feel that the work of what we are doing is very important, because that's what they say to clients after when we we deploy a new update of the software. And how can is there something I can do, not as a team leader, but as a member, to make the marketing more involved of what we do and more understanding?
Yeah, so we actually face a very similar challenge on my Bitbucket team. They have these hour-and-a-half long demos that are once a week, and they invite marketing to them, and marketing never shows up. So the reason we don't show up is because it's very code-heavy, and they're demoing something that we don't understand because it's in a different language. And so what we're trying to how you can kind of fix that is, first of all, you need to acknowledge that. But what you said was you invite them to a presentation, and I think that's the key that needs to be changed. Is like, where is the collaboration and where is the communication prior to that presentation to understand, to have the marketing team understand why you're developing what you're developing? Because marketing is all about why, and development is all about execution and how, and we're going to make it work, right? And so if you're bringing marketing in for a presentation and they've skipped that whole part where you figured out why you're building something, then, they're going to be like, I don't know what this is. But think about it the same way. The development team would come to a marketing demo, and I would show them something about search engine optimization, and they'd be like, I don't care. Why would I care about this, right? So I think really some of the things that you could do as a team member is you could try to, actually you could use one of these team plays if you wanted to. There's a few in there. But I really think that taking somebody out for coffee can go a really long way, and to really try and bridge the gap of communication and figure out that you're all really trying to build the same journey for the customer. You're all working on the same thing, but just from a different lens, and trying to understand each other's language. We call it a fika because we're Australian. But yeah, we take people out to coffee, and it's like 15 minutes, and you just talk about whatever. So maybe that's something you could try.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Ok, le damos todas las gracias a Claire. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much,
Muchas
Claire.
gracias.
Thanks for coming.